The series delves into the heart of Maasai culture, exploring a passionate love story fraught with tradition, duty, and betrayal. Set against the breathtaking backdrop of the Kenyan savannah, it follows the intertwined destinies of two young Maasai whose love defies the very fabric of their society. The crimson sun dipped below the distant Kayolu Hills, painting the vast Maasai Mara in hues of fire and shadow. Loiyangalani, the young Moran warrior, stood sentinel, his gaze fixed not on the grazing herds but on the distant kraal where his heart resided. His love for Saruni was as fierce and untamed as the lions that roamed their ancestral lands. Saruni, with eyes like deep pools reflecting the endless sky and a spirit as free as the wind, was destined for another. Since childhood, a sacred enkarewa, beaded necklace signifying betrothal, had adorned her neck, a promise made by their fathers long before their own souls recognized each other. Loiyangalani often recalled the day he first truly saw her, not as a playmate, but as the woman who stirred a fire within him. It was during a Unoto ceremony, the warriors coming of age, that their eyes met across the dancing crowd. A silent understanding passed between them, the spark of recognition that transcended the ancient customs binding Saruni to another, an elder from a powerful, distant clan. His heart ached with the knowledge of the forbidden path they were already walking, a path that threatened to unravel the very fabric of their community. He knew the whispers, the expectations, the unyielding weight of tradition. But how could he deny the feeling that surged through him, stronger than any warrior's spear? Saruni, too, felt the pull, a silent rebellion against a destiny she had no part in choosing. The enkarewa felt heavier with each passing day, a beautiful chain binding her to a future devoid of the man who truly held her heart. Their secret meetings became their solace, stolen moments under the ancient acacia tree by the watering hole, where only the watchful giraffes and the vast sky bore witness to their forbidden love. Here, away from the prying eyes of the kraal, Loiyangalani and Saruni could speak freely, sharing dreams that stretched beyond the confines of their arranged lives. Loiyangalani spoke of a life where love, not lineage, determined their path, a revolutionary thought in their deeply traditional society. Saruni, torn between duty to her family and the burgeoning love in her heart, listened, her spirit soaring with his words even as fear gnawed at her. One afternoon, as the golden light filtered through the acacia leaves, Loiyangalani gifted Saruni a single, deep blue bead, intricately carved from a rare wood. "This," he whispered, "is for us. A promise of a future, even if it must be a hidden one." Saruni clutched the bead, its coolness a stark contrast to the burning desire within her. She knew the immense risk they were taking. Discovery would bring not only shame but potentially severe repercussions for their families, disrupting the delicate balance of their communal life. Yet, as Loiyangalani's fingers brushed hers, a silent pact was sealed, a defiance of the rigid social structures that sought to define their lives. The bead, small yet potent, symbolized their burgeoning hope, a dangerous flame flickering in the shadows of tradition. The air was thick with the scent of dust and freedom, a fleeting moment of peace before the inevitable storm. Word, like the wind carrying seeds across the savannah, always finds a way. Loiyangalani's increasingly frequent hunting trips near Saruni's kraal, and Saruni's newfound reticence, did not go unnoticed. Mzee Ol Kiro, Saruni's father and a respected elder, possessed wisdom honed by countless seasons and an intuitive understanding of human hearts. He saw the subtle changes in his daughter's demeanor, the faraway look in her eyes, the quiet sighs. The weight of his impending alliance with Chief Lekule, a powerful and influential figure, pressed heavily upon him. This marriage was not merely about two individuals, it was about strengthening his clan, securing alliances, and ensuring the prosperity of his people. One evening, under the vast, star-studded sky, Olkiro called Saruni to his boma. His voice was calm, but his eyes held an unspoken knowing. He spoke of duty, of tradition, of the sacrifices required for the good of the community. He reminded her of the ancient oaths, of the interconnectedness of their lives, and the sacredness of the enkarewa she wore. Saruni listened, her heart a drum against her ribs. She couldn't confess her love for Loiyangalani, not directly, for fear of disgracing her family. But her silence, her downcast gaze, spoke volumes to her astute father. He knew. The air crackled with unspoken truths, and the unspoken tension hung heavy between father and daughter. Olkiro's words, though gentle, were as firm as the ancient trees, leaving Saruni feeling trapped between her personal desires and the immense weight of her cultural obligations. Driven by desperation and the searing pain of impending loss, Loiyangalani made a choice that would echo through both their lives. The day before Saruni was to be formally presented to Chief Lekule's family, Loiyangalani, fueled by a mixture of courage and despair, did the unthinkable. Under the cover of a moonless night, he slipped into Saruni's boma. He didn't come to abduct her, for he knew such an act would bring war between their clans. Instead, he came to plead, to make one last, desperate appeal to her heart and to fate. He found her weeping softly, the ancestral beads on her neck a heavy burden. In a moment of raw, unbridled emotion, he spoke not just of his love, but of a shared destiny, a life he believed they were truly meant to have. He urged her to run with him, to forge their own path, away from the dictates of tradition. Saruni, torn, could only cling to him, her tears soaking his warrior's cloak. She loved him, yes, but the ingrained fear of societal retribution, the immense shame it would bring upon her family, paralyzed her. His presence, though a beacon of hope, was also an incredibly risky act of defiance that could destroy everything. The next morning, the small, carved blue bead Loiyangalani had given her was discovered near Saruni's sleeping mat by a sharp-eyed ant. It was an unmistakable sign, a silent shout of the forbidden truth. The secret was out. The discovery of the blue bead ignited a firestorm within the community. The news spread like wildfire, reaching Chief Lekule, who felt personally insulted and dishonored. A council of elders, the Ngwina, was immediately convened under the shade of the oldest baobab tree, its ancient branches bearing witness to generations of justice. Loiyangalani and Saruni were brought before them, their faces etched with fear and defiance. The air was thick with tension, the murmurs of the gathered crowd a low hum. Olkiro, Saruni's father, stood with a heavy heart, caught between love for his daughter and his duty to uphold tradition. The elders spoke with grave voices, their words a harsh torrent. Loiyangalani was accused of disrespecting ancient customs, of attempting to sever sacred bonds, and of bringing shame upon Saruni's family. Saruni faced accusations of dishonoring her family and the sacred betrothal. The consequences of such a transgression were severe, threatening banishment or even a curse upon their lineages. The future of their clans, the very fabric of their society, seemed to hang in the balance, threatened by the audacity of a love that dared to challenge centuries of established order. The weight of their judgment pressed down on the young lovers, a suffocating blanket of tradition and consequence. The verdict of the elders was swift and unyielding. Saruni was to proceed with her marriage to Chief Lekule to restore honor and alliance. Loiyangalani, though spared banishment thanks to the intervention of sympathetic elders who acknowledged his warrior spirit, was to undertake a grueling solo journey across the vast, untamed lands to prove his penance and reclaim his standing. This was his Unoto of atonement, a path of solitary endurance and spiritual cleansing. The parting was agonizing. Under the solemn gaze of the community, Loiyangalani looked at Saruni one last time, a silent promise in his eyes. He would return, worthy of her, even if he could not have her. Saruni, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, wore her enkarewa of betrothal, knowing it sealed her fate, but the blue bead, Loiyangalani's gift, remained hidden, a secret solace against her skin. Their love, though denied a public future, had sown seeds of change. Some younger Maasai, witnessing their struggle, began to question the rigid traditions, whispering about a future where love might hold more sway. Loiyangalani's journey was not just about his penance, it was a journey of self-discovery, of understanding the deeper meaning of sacrifice, not just for love, but for community. Saruni's life, though bound by duty, became a quiet testament to enduring hope, a symbol of the individual spirit within the collective. The Maasai Plains, which had witnessed their forbidden love, now bore silent witness to their profound sacrifice, a sacrifice that, in its own way, began to subtly reshape the future of their proud people. What kind of warrior would Loiyangalani become, and could Saruni find happiness in a life not chosen by her heart? The forbidden beads, a Maasai love's sacrifice, plunges us into the heart of a vibrant Maasai community, where the powerful love between Loiyangalani, a brave Moran, and Saruni, a woman bound by ancient betrothal, ignites a fierce conflict between personal desire and unyielding tradition. Their secret encounters, symbolized by a single, illicit blue